Good morning. This is the crypto day morning. Today's date. Well, that's it, that of January the 14th, 2018. All bets, trades of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. And for today's video, I'm going to quickly go over Bitcoin. Later today, I'm going to be talking about gold, silver, not only against the US dollar, but against the Canadian dollar, and gold against Bitcoin as well. That will be later today. But I am calculating the Bitcoin prices, and it's not fun. For this is a spreadsheet that I'm using, and there's holidays, and Bitcoin doesn't have holidays. This is the Bitcoin price on the right-hand side in 2013. And this is what the gold price was. So I just forced to, well, since the start of this, put a space where there's no dates. I'm going to have to insert 2 rows here from September 20th to the 23rd. 6 years to go, 5.5 until we're at this point. But at that point, back then, this is when we were seeing gold at 1284 and Bitcoin at 86. And at the start of this, well, Bitcoin was $6 and the ratio was 307 back then. That'll be later on today. Okay, back to the Bitcoin US dollar chart. And within it, we obviously had the decline from the November period. There was the move, a correctionary intent, but just declining in here, small correctionary move, gets above the 18, establishes resistance, almost tested, or pretty much tested lower high, matching one basically. Support established, and what we're seeing first of all is that it didn't spend much time here before. It went quickly down and then back up. Here it has spent days amongst that level, but furthermore amongst the movements, the red candle down was after it had 3 days of just doing this whole sideways stuff, just pausing the green candle move that preceded such. And since on the red, we've had 2 of those days, similar to here on the downside. And then this little small red candle down move, bringing it back down to this level of support where it didn't spend much time on January the 10th at, but now it's been staying there ever since that declining move. When I see how this is with the 18 average supporting and now resisting amongst such, I see a tightrope kind of support level. If this thing breaks down, we'll be looking at a possible leg lower. Now, we could still find support here, and that could be the name of the game. It's always that could be, though, and I really don't know. But the way I look at it is if this level does get taken out, and we still got to break this level of support for that to happen, and if it does, then I would be looking at several basis points lower. So 3,000, which is the number I talked about through most of the year, man, don't really look at that as a key number anymore. Closer to 24 to 26, I would think, if there's going to be that of a breakdown below the 32 level. But first, it's holding on to this level basically like a thread. Within this, on the 4-hour term, there's the level where it fell down from at the 4,000 and change mark, and pretty much straight down to this point. But we can see it didn't spend much time here. Played around going sideways, and now it spent that decent amount of time in here, which it didn't before. And expanding the amount of periods further, I'm drawing one of those nice little horizontal lines as we can take a look at the failed breakdown. Interesting how it plays out now. Here was the original failed breakdown. Managed to get up in here, but really no break, although it was an extended one. And really there was the attempt, because successful support at the line, resisting this little area, ascending triangle, and this is where it was supposed to have its break, and it didn't do so. So it had its little nice move, and it was just a little one, but it was still that move, and the correction was most certainly little as well. And sometimes corrections can take a short or quick period of time or a long. This took a decent amount of time, but ultimately never did break above resistance. One attempt in here. But since the decline now, it only spent a little bit of time here, as I mentioned. Well, there's all this time here it spent doing so below this level. And of course, it's showing more of that weakness point of view, especially if you look at it from the stage of establishing this big support from the decline, having your correctionary move, and then leaving that correctionary move, which has happened on that red candle down, and now it's correcting that play within the 18. You start to see short term within the 4-hour time frame that it's pretty much in the breaking below 3,500. That more bearish signals will certainly come into play. Let's move on. Let's move this on next to Tron, and this has been a wild moving coin since the late November time frame when it was at a low of 300. It has since moved up to 800 and change, close to tripling, and is now still over double after having a correctionary move in here, lifting off, and correctionary move within the day as well. On the 4-hour term, there's your uptrend. There's filling all this empty space that it had from point A low to point B high. Now after doing such, it's had a small move, managing to get above the 18, the old attempt in regaining that of the uptrend. And now from the way I see this now, we've got from this point in here, the bull market, or the green candle, had a quick little move up here, consolidated for a little bit, leg higher. Now it's had a nice little correction within the 18. Therefore, 18 is rising. If in the next few hours, it's 9:20 a.m. as I'm doing this now. Therefore, before lunchtime, New York lunchtime, if I see that it's starting to get above this around the 681, 685 mark, then I'm going to be liking the chances that not only will this manage to get above 700, but even potentially get into the 730s, 740s as a possibility as well, or thus have a decent leg higher moving forward. And I mean, as this is playing out, we've had a good run higher. I realize it's going to run out of steam at some point. Maybe it already has. Maybe this is the top. And again, I'm using the word maybe, hence the reason why a lot of the trades that I make, I'm just going to let the orders come into play and do so. And with Tron, the orders that I have had, these are my last few. January 8th, I sold at 629. January 9th at 749, and I've already gotten the buyback on the last one at 611. So therefore, 629 would have occurred right in here on the break here. The 750 number wouldn't have been the top, obviously. Just because it goes to 850 doesn't mean I'm going to sell near there. And I'm not going to sell at 850 if I sell at 750. But the market went down to 611, so near the bottom I was able to buy. And I'm not selling until it has a nice Fibonacci retracement above somewhere around, again, the 750-ish handle, which is retracement high. And then by selling at around 750, I'll do the same thing again if it sells. I'll just look to buy back somewhere in this lower area again. And if it sells here, then I'm going to be selling for a higher high above 850. Probably closer to 900 and change, 960, 950. That would be an even 975 I think I'd be able to get. And one way of doing it is I could do Fibonacci upside. And what I like to do for that is I need to find an up move. Okay, done. I need to find the higher low sell-off, correctionary move. Okay, to here. And then we can calculate. So what we do is we take high, 863, divided by the low of 592. And then we put it to the root of 1.618. Multiply the low again of 592. That will give us a number of, in this case, 1,089 Satoshi. So near 1,100 is where I think this has the potential to go at, breaking above this. And as I'm just thinking in my head for areas to sell, I would probably maybe look to sell at about I'll probably make that aggressive play if I see that it's going to work within full momentum and take my sale, which would be I've already got it numbered in this area here because I checked it before and I realized with this high, okay, what I checked, how close was this to my seller, and I realized it was well above, so I don't need to change my order because I was going for a move of a decent lower high. But as I see how this plays out, I realize that it could easily rally up here and then be the high. That's why I want to do it here rather than up towards here. And if I see it just starting to just keep on going well enough like I normally would, and it has a nice convincing breakout above this level, then yeah, I'll consider that it can easily have a move of like 250 basis points on top of that. What's that, 30%? This is a crypto game. They're wild, wild moves that come into play. And let's finish off this morning's video with AID. When you get movements like this, it's an interesting coin. I've been in it since December the 10th. I got into it this day. So it's down a little bit since I got into it. That's for anyone who would have bought and just held. I mean, I guess it could be down in US dollars or Canadian dollars a little bit. But as far as my trades are concerned, this is how it's worked just on the up and down swings for myself, as I've done with the orange line representing that of the just how much it's up and down since the December 10th date, and the blue line representing how much I've done within the trades of just buying on the low ends and selling at the high ends of those sort of moves. So it's nice to see that just in the early stages, just a little month into a non-volatile, barely moving market, that this particular cross can give me a 10% gain against the base currency when it's down about 12% against such. And if it's up 10%, that means if it goes to like down here, 500, that's like my break-even point, I guess, because I'll be back to even at that stage, where another buy order will come in, and I'll just replace my sell orders. But as long as the markets are doing stuff like this, and this, and this, and all of this, then it can work out well. And if you're a very low volatile volume player, there was a clear range where resistance sell areas up here and buy orders down here. Well, 538 was the low of the range, 568 or so, about a 30-point differential. So you were looking at about a 5% differential in the range. Had you tried to play it, it would have, of course, made it interesting how you handle that within these moves as well. But a lot of ways of playing it so that you can end up making gains even though markets do not go up, or in fact they could go down. What I'm going to do when I take my spreadsheet within the silver or the gold to Bitcoin ratio is just show within the trading how one would work playing the buy low sell high game on this. We're going to see a coin in gold that was worth a 307 mark, and then just a year and change ago, about a year ago, when we seen the price of Bitcoin at 20,000 and the price of gold well below 2,000. This is going to go under 0.1. Today's ratio, well, it's not going to be under 0.1, obviously, with gold well over 1,000, but over a third, 0.33, as Bitcoin is still greater than the price of that of gold. And I can remember back in here how big of a deal it was. As in 2017, it was, oh my goodness, gold for the first time is worth less than Bitcoin, or Bitcoin for the first time is worth more than gold. And then was it ever worth a lot more up to this point in here? So I'll put that video out probably in the afternoon. As far as Picks are concerned for sports. I'm really leaning on two opinion plays at this stage. Toronto Maple Leafs minus a goal and a half. Unfortunately, I didn't get on it early when Toronto was minus 170-ish on the money line. Now they're minus 200 and change. Oh, I don't like it as much. And I should have jumped on it last night, a Houston game in basketball. See, the total was like 204 and a half. It's up to like 206 and a half or 207. It's just a low over-under number when I was looking at it. But I don't really watch or follow much of basketball, although I do statistically follow it, so I do have an edge on that. But for that, I'm not really placing any bets again for today in pro sports. At least I don't have any of plan. If I do see anything and I have time, I'll let you know, but don't expect anything for that later on. But do expect more information on gold, silver against the dollar, both Canadian and US, and that of gold and the Bitcoin cross. Take care. Bye-bye.